Sierra de Andújar in southern Spain is a place where you can imagine mythical creatures coming to life. Ancient boulders are a prominent feature in this landscape, and they control and tame the Andújar River as it cuts through this natural park. These boulders and rocks are home to various species. A tiny black redstart is almost invisible as it surveys the river. A female blue rock thrush is in defiance of her name as she perches on a dead branch. Red deer, like this magnificent stag, find shelter in the oak forests that litter the hills and valleys. This deer had been peacefully grazing in the nearby forest when it was disturbed by the faint alarm calls of some Iberian magpies. The excitable calls of the magpies is an indication that they have just seen a predator. An Iberian lynx saunters past, one of the rarest wild cats in the world. Not that it impresses the magpies, they just want the predator gone from sight. The lynx is not really interested in the birds though. Its main prey are European rabbits, and the hungry lynx is desperately trying to find some food. The bobbing little tail is a sign that the cat is agitated. It realizes that catching a rabbit will not be easy with this much commotion. The mottled coloration of the Iberian lynx helps it to blend perfectly against the mossy rocks. And although humans can struggle to see it, the birds have sharp eyesight and commanding aerial views. The lynx knows that its cover is blown. It blurs into the magical landscape as it strolls away for now, but it will return in the silence of the night. The rugged nature of this natural park is one of the reasons why the population of Iberian lynx is doing so well in this corner of Spain. The deep ravines and gushing rivers give way to the rolling hills that provide ample protection to the lynx and other species that reside here. Nearly 95% of the park is controlled by private owners. This prevents the public from accessing the hills and the forests, but ironically, this is what has given the Iberian lynx the secrecy and silence it so desires. A blanket of thick fog covers the river valleys in the early mornings. It is almost impossible to search for any wild creatures within this blurred landscape. But the sun is slowly rising beyond this frosty fog. The distant rays of the sun are slowly trying to break the delicate strands of condensed air that fight to remain in place. Despite the chilly temperatures in the night, some residents prefer to sleep close to the river. A dead tree on the riverbank is a perfect roosting spot. Great cormorants. After sleeping all night, they are desperate for some breakfast. The creatures of Andújar have evolved to live in a contrasting world. While the nights can be freezing, the hot sun in the day can send the temperatures skyrocketing. The fauna here has learned to deal with these specific conditions. The cormorants cannot wait for all the fog to clear up. They are expert fish hunters, capable of diving to depths of nearly 45 meters, but they must overcome the freezing conditions. Someone in the flock needs to make the first jump. Eventually, one individual cannot take it anymore and takes the leap. The other birds will soon follow, and the river will then become a very noisy place. Much to the dismay of other specialized hunters who rely on patience and silence to catch their prey. Their first forays into the water may not be very fruitful. It's always good to get a feel of the waters first. Some will return back to their roost to clean up and prepare for subsequent dives. Having a comfortable roost so close to the river offers the cormorants a quick getaway from the cold waters. Sticking together in large groups like these offers good protection from any predators. Cormorants are social birds. They will nest together in a few months when the cold winter days give way to the balmy spring temperatures and food will become abundant. While the lynx was being harassed for hunting in the broad daylight, there are many other creatures that can hunt without any disturbance during the day. A grey wagtail has also been waiting for the fog to go away so it can use the daylight to search for insects. Grey wagtails love to hunt by the side of rivers and streams. Like all birds, the wagtail has excellent cover vision, so it bobs around, staying true to its name as it tries to detect any insects that may be relying on their camouflage to hide in plain sight. It does not take long for the wagtail to find a plump moth. The bird has expertly distinguished the camouflaged insect against the wet sand. The wagtail's first move is to immediately prevent the moth from flying away, and it smashes the insect several times into the ground. The moth has no escape now, and its fate is sealed. This scene may look cruel, but it demonstrates how predator and prey relationships should not only be allowed for larger animals such as the lynx and the rabbits, but these relationships can be observed at all levels of the natural world. The wagtail will ensure that the moth is dead and that it has been reduced to a manageable meal, and then it will simply swallow it whole. The sun continues to fight against the fog, and eventually the Sierra de Andújar is drenched in bright sunshine. The river is soaked in the early morning sunlight, and the cormorants have flown off to hunt in the adjoining streams. perfect times for the otter to search for some breakfast in peace. The life-giving light is a blessing for several species that live here. The air that is warmed by the sun rises up above the cooler air and it creates thermals in the sky. These thermals are invisible to human eyes, but they are vital to some species that live here. The late morning sky is enveloped by a large number of Eurasian griffon vultures. They gather together as they glide the thermals in the sky. These rising columns of air help the vultures glide effortlessly and with some style as they use their powerful eyesight to search for food. As the rocky hills gather heat, the creatures that depend on solar energy the most begin to show themselves. An Iberian wall lizard, almost impossible to detect because of its small size, specialized camouflage, and fleeting nature. It has found a perfect place amongst the massive rock face. Lizards are the masters of staying still as they wait for their prey. Tiny ants pass by every now and then, but it keeps its eyes open for any larger insects to feed upon. It also stays very close to a little crevice should it face any danger from the sky. And the tail and the back limbs provide the little lizard with a secure anchor. This land is also the original home of some of our familiar and most loved garden plants, such as lavender. But since it is December, they have not yet started to flower. But as a result of the changing climate, the high meadows are full of color because of another familiar herb that has started to flower in winter. Wild rosemary. The tiny flowers have painted the slopes in various shades of lilac and pale violet. The consequences of this early flowering has been surprising the local people in recent times. Not only does it bring the color and fragrance to the high ranges of the park, but it is also encouraging some insects that depend on pollen and nectar to stay awake during winter. European honeybees would normally be sleeping in the winter months, but the enticing colors and smells from the rosemary are tempting them with the possibility of a reliable food source that is helping them stay active during these cold times. The winters in the Mediterranean region have been becoming warmer. As a result, the flora and fauna are changing their behavior to adapt to these changes. As the bees travel from flower to flower, they catch pollen on their bodies. This happens because there are intricate little sticky hairs on their bodies, and each time they visit a flower, their flight muscles create sound vibrations that can dislodge the pollen. When they visit the next flower, they spread the pollen, thereby resulting in fertilization. The rosemary flowers also contain nectar, a precious, sugar-rich food that is an essential fuel for the bees. The bees are not intentionally carrying out this fertilization activity. It is just a lucky byproduct of their pollen collecting activities. The pollen that they are gathering is actually meant to go back to their hives to feed the larval bees. Wild bees like these are the essential pollinators of our planet. Without their heroic pollination journeys, entire habitats and ecosystems can face a catastrophic collapse. As the day passes, the hot sun will give way to the darkness of the night. Most species will need to find a safe space to sleep during the night. But this is the time when our lynx returns. The Black Knight sees the same Iberian lynx with a different personality. This is a wild feline that is a master in the darkness. There are no pesky magpies to disturb the peace of the stunning lynx. Like all cats, it has excellent night vision. It knows that it is a super predator in the dark. Before embarking on a hunt, the lynx strolls by the rocks and decides to clean itself. Careful cleaning is important, as clean and dry fur is vital for its protection against the cold. Tidy paws and claws are essential for catching fast-moving prey. In the Sierra de Andújar, the Iberian lynx is the top predator. It is endemic to the Iberian Peninsula. Careful conservation work has brought the population of these wonderful felines to just over 1,000 individuals. It may not seem like a lot, but it is a hopeful rise from less than 100 specimens that were left in 2000. This lynx is living in a fantastic part of the world, a protected place with plenty of prey. As it walks into the night, we can stay hopeful that the Iberian lynx population will continue to rise. Finding the wildlife in the Sierra de Andújar required a lot of hard work and effort. The stunning valleys and hills cover vast areas, and the wild creatures have learned to hide from human eyes. Choosing a quiet spot and staying still is one way of filming some skittish species such as red deer. The contrasting colors of the high meadows and forests can hide a massive stag that can be easily missed if you don't know where to look. Small birds such as Dartford warblers are quick and tricky subjects that only give shaky footage, and the broad wings of a Cinereus vulture are agonizingly out of grasp as they glide over the mountains. Small groups of Iberian ibex blend in so well with the colors of the bare hills that they can also be difficult to detect. So after searching for 3 days, we were incredibly fortunate to be able to film the Iberian lynx in the wild. a stunning feline that would not be out of place in a mythical forest.